And what's the truth with the departure of Max Kellerman from First Take?
Well, the rumor's accurate in terms of me wanting him off the show. Let's get that out the way.
Again, you mentioned obviously Max is going to get in here, and like I said, I'm in the streets. Max almost seems blacker than you, Stephen A. with what he's coming, with his commentary.
With all due respect, my brother,
I'm just saying, dog.
I didn't like working with him, man. It's just that damn simple. I didn't like it. You weren't an athlete, and you weren't a journalist. And the absence of the two components left people wondering, why should we listen to you? It was like I was damn near doing the show by myself because we were oceans apart in terms of cachet. Well, how are you oceans apart from me if you sitting right across from me 5 days a week for the whole 2 hours?
Max Kellerman was removed from ESPN's First Take in September 2021. Since then, the details of ESPN making a change on the morning show still get discussed and dissected. Stephen A. Smith has not been shy about the move he made in telling ESPN execs that either he or Kellerman had to go. Here we are now 2 years later, and Smith is still sharing details behind the split. Smith was asked what he would say to the people who say they saw the tension between him and Kellerman before his departure from the show. He did not hold back, giving a lengthy explanation of what went down and his feelings about the situation.
I heard some of it. I would take full responsibility for that. That's totally my fault.
Okay.
And the reason why it was my fault, because I didn't like working with him, man. It's just that damn simple. I didn't like it. I thought the show was stale. I thought that we had flatlined when it came to the public at large. And I'm trying to win. I mean, I didn't want to go from number 1 to number 2 when Skip left. That's not what I wasn't having that. That was not going to happen. I had mad respect from him from the standpoint that white dude, highly intelligent, Ivy League educated from Columbia, smart as a whip, can talk his ass off, can talk about anything. And I get all of that. But you weren't an athlete and you weren't a journalist. And the absence of the two components left people wondering, why should we listen to you? Okay, well, you might have had that figured out on Sports Nation, or you might have had that figured out on another show. But on this show, if you looked at the content emanating in the social stratosphere, meaning YouTube and other components that you use to measure one's cachet, Q ratings, focus groups, all of these different things, it was like I was damn near doing the show by myself because we were oceans apart in terms of cachet. Well, how are you oceans apart from me if you sitting right across from me 5 days a week for the whole 2 hours? Because one of us is resonating and one of us is not in that platform. And so for me, I was like, look, this is what it is. And we had a number of conversations, one-on-one, many, many times. I know this audience. I know what they're looking for. I know what they need, et cetera, et cetera. At some point, you're going to do what you need to do or you don't. And if you don't do what you need to do, I'm going to get somebody who will. That's me, and I made no qualms about it. Now, I didn't have the authority to let him go.
But you have coffee with the person that...
How about that? I mean? How about that? And so what I did was, I've been very honest and very consistent about it. There's nothing personal. We weren't enemies or anything. To be real, we ain't spoke since, other than high and by, or if I had to go on the show when they were doing the morning show, I would get interviewed. But there's been no conversation since, and that's fine with me. That's no problem, because it wasn't like we were boys or anything like that. But at the end of the day, it was all business to me, and it was about, look, man, I'm trying to win, and I don't believe I can win with you. That doesn't mean it's your fault. It means we don't work.
Marcellus Wiley has been paying attention to what Stephen A. Smith has had to say, and he hasn't appreciated what he's heard. Smith and ESPN have since welcomed Shannon Sharpe into the fold, and while Smith has essentially been kicking Kellerman while he's down, he's been more compassionate towards Sharpe, claiming he was pushed off of FS1's Undisputed with Skip Bayless. None of it is adding up for Wiley.
It's hypocritical to be sensitive right now if you're Stephen A. to Shannon, and Shannon getting pushed out of FS1 and all of that happened there. And not Max when you did the same thing to Max. oh, please do not tell me it's different because Max is white. Please don't say that. I know you're not going to go there. Stephen A. gets a salute from all, especially me, because I respect his work ethic. But right now, and a lot of people are seeing it right before our very eyes, no love and no respect for your ethics.
At the end of the day, the talking heads on First Take are going to continue the back and forth shtick of screaming about mostly meaningless topics no matter who is sitting across from Stephen A. But Wiley deserves a lot of credit for pointing out the hint of hypocrisy in the entrance of this revolving door. Legendary boxing announcer Jim Lampley has largely avoided having a presence on any social media platform, but he's heard what Smith had to say and isn't a fan of airing things out publicly.
I hate the world of social media, and I'm not afraid to say it. I hate the degree to which personal conflicts have now risen to important public discussion and are a part of the business landscape and the editorial landscape of our lives. I have met Stephen A. Smith. I don't have any particular axe to grind against him except to promote and publicize his professional antipathy for Max. That's just, to me, it's out of bounds. And I'm very disturbed at what happened to Max. Fortunately, very fortunately, he was there long enough that I have a mentee at UNC, a young woman who is going to be a network television sportscaster, and she got to spend one entire summer as his intern in the ESPN studios in New York. So that was the last residual benefit of my wonderful relationship with Max Kellerman. And, you know, the world of the Stephen A. Smiths and the people who are using social media and various other ancillary forms of dialogue to create and benefit from personal rivalries, I don't like it.
Starting with leaks shortly after Kellerman's departure, alleging Smith was behind his removal, Smith has gone after Kellerman at least 4 times publicly. Even after Kellerman was laid off this summer, Smith forgot to include him in a tribute to those leaving ESPN and then ended his later comments on Kellerman leaving ESPN by saying,
"Although I sincerely doubt he ever will, if he ever called me needing my help, I would not hesitate to help him."
Between August 2021 and the Budden appearance, Smith has really piled on Kellerman. He confirmed he was behind Kellerman's removal a month after the initial leaks. He leveled up the attacks on Kellerman a few months later, saying, "I think I've been proven to be right." Even when he's not addressing Kellerman directly, Smith twists the knife. In a separate story on Budden about Shannon Sharpe joining First Take, Smith reminded listeners that he largely controls the show now. Kellerman may have been wrong for the job. Smith has gotten great ratings since winning more control over First Take, but incessantly rehashing the Kellerman era and taking pot shots seems unnecessary, especially since Kellerman has not participated in the back and forth. He hasn't even tweeted since leaving ESPN this summer. Kellerman is currently out of a job while Smith keeps turning their relationship into content. Maybe that shouldn't be a surprise. Since launching his podcast, Smith has returned often to the gossip and drama well for content. When the sports news can't fill every segment, beefing with former co-hosts does the job. Smith can't have it both ways. His actions already led to Kellerman losing his job, but Smith seems to want to take down Kellerman's dignity too. Yet Smith wants everyone to think there are no hard feelings. That's his recipe with this stuff. Meanwhile, Kellerman put his head down on his way out. He has yet to return Smith's constant barrage by firing back at his former co-host. Smith has gotten everything he could have ever wanted and more from ESPN, including turning First Take into his own personal kingdom. Smith clearly has even bigger ambitions for what's to come in the future. He gains nothing for continuing to bury Kellerman publicly except for inflating his own ego and turning his vendetta into content. It's long past time for Smith to move on to another topic, but that's never been his way. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing NBA content.